In The Sopranos, New Jersey mob boss Tony Soprano must navigate life as the head of a criminal family as well as the head of a dysfunctional household. Business and family are so intertwined in the show that in many ways they are one and the same. The lines so blurred they do not exist. Time and again, we see one bleed into the other, or the effects of one having a massive impact on the other, whether it be Coco being creepy towards Meadow because of business tensions, and Tony exacting revenge for this encroachment of business lines by curb stomping Coco, which further snowballs said business tensions. The best example is perhaps the fat joke of season 4, which plays a significant part of this season's storyline. Tony's capo Ralph Cifaretto makes a joke about Ginny's fat ass, Ginny being the wife of New York Lupertazzi crime family underboss Ginny Sack. John is known as a pragmatist, a level-headed, intelligent and cunning mobster, who Tony can count on in strenuous times as a friend, as a man who he shares deeper bonds with than simply being business associates. But when he hears about the joke, John gets heavy. He's pissed off. He pisses his boss Carmine off. He even pisses on a Jersey mobster. John is irate and wants Ralphie's head on a platter, refusing any compromise, storming out of at least 2 meetings due to this, leading Carmine to even play with the idea of whacking his own underboss due to the aggravation. He refuses to allow John to kill Ralph because of the money Ralph makes both families with the Esplanade, but Johnny arranges the hit anyway behind his back, telling his underling he will deal with the blowback. It shows you just how serious Johnny was about all of this. It wasn't just talk with him. It wasn't a way for him to show everyone he's not to be messed with. He really did want to kill Ralph, organising the hit and only calling it off at the last minute when Ralph literally walked into an elevator with his would-be killer. Now on this channel we've talked about quite a few things with Johnny and the joke. Like, why didn't Ginny Sack tell Tony that Paulie told him the joke years later after the saga was dead and buried? What would happen if Johnny heard the jokes the Sopranos crew made about Ginny in the previous season in the Bing? And an analysis on the confrontation between Carmine Sr and Johnny over the joke. Check out those videos and subscribe to the channel if you like what you see. But today I wanted to talk about how this story ends when the hit on Ralph is about to go down and Johnny returns home just after he left as he forgot his sweater. He looks around for Ginny and then finds her in the basement, scoffing her face with chocolate. The front door was even open, meaning Ginny must have hauled ass to the basement as soon as Johnny went, making 2 trips. Johnny is furious, screaming at his wife that she has lied to him, but the scene quickly becomes wholesome and sweet as it shows the deep love the two have for each other. Ginny's yearning for John to be proud of her, and Johnny's need to defend her honour. It showcases why he went so hard after Ralph, and theirs is one of the few genuinely loving, normal, healthy, happy marriages, where the biggest problems are smoking and overeating, not stealing 40k from the bird feeder, or damning their partners to hell, or showing your love with a few good chokeholds and dragging your girlfriend out of the apartment with her hair. Only Bobby Bacala and his first wife Karen had a comparable relationship. We're told that he is perhaps the only Jersey guy who doesn't screw around with other women. But Karen isn't in the show enough to leave an impact, meaning Ginny Sack and Ginny surely have the best marriage in the show. Anyway, the basement scene could have an entire video analysis on it alone. What we're here to talk about is the fact that immediately after this, John calls off the hit and then tells Tony he accepts Ralph's apology. Why though? Why would catching Ginny in the act cause John to call off the hit? What, did he see the mole? Ralph still said what he said, he still made the joke, shouldn't he be punished? But instead John here is doing a complete 180, he doesn't even, as far as we can see, tax Ralph. Just accepts the apology and wants the situation put to bed. I mean, not taking money from Ralph does make sense in terms of honour and dignity, as it essentially puts a cost on making a joke about Ginny, that it's something you're allowed to do and then pay a quick fine. What's next, he gets to fuck her for $1 million? John had 2 options, to name a price or get the fuck over it. He chose to get the fuck over it, even though he has a deep-rooted love for his wife, even though his own ego and standing was hurt. John looks at Ginny like Vito looks at security guards. The situation made this pragmatist an emotionalist, but coming home to his wife, stuffing her face, put things into perspective for Johnny. In short, he comes to his senses. His love for his wife had clouded his judgment, and he now snaps back into reality. He can't hide behind the idea that his wife struggles with a disorder, and now can't deny she does have a problem with food addiction and weight. In this epiphany he has, the ramifications and risks of the hit become clear, the fallout that will happen once he kills Ralph, which could include he himself being taken out, putting this thing of ours into potentially a state of disrepair. He did all of this for her, this one-man crusade he launched, and she betrayed him. He realized she wasn't trying the way he thought she was, with the fasting and the deal meal cards and whatnot, and therefore all his rage was pointless with Ralph making fun of something Ginny could control, instead of a health problem she couldn't. Of course, Ginny is in the dark about the whole joke thing, but John references it when he screams at her, "Do you know what you've done?" And she obviously has no idea how much he fought for her on the outside, how much turmoil has been caused in both crime families, which never actually fully recovers in the show. He was defending her honor, and here she was not pulling her weight, so to speak. He sacrificed his pride in the mob. He was going to have a made man, a successful man who made New York millions, murdered for her, and she's hoarding candy bars not 10 minutes after he's left the house? Disgusting. There's an interesting dual meaning though when he says, "Do you know what you've done?" We of course jump to what's happening in the mob world, the fact that Ralph is about to be taken out, but John says his line, and then there is a short pause, and he follows this up with, "You lied to me, you lied." This implies he was legitimately more outraged and offended that she had lied to him, more so than her failure to lose weight, which he didn't even ask her to do. All of a sudden, it becomes apparent that John's primary source of rage is not over some petty mafia squabble, that it was his wife, the watermelon of his eye, had felt the need to lie to him. It is actually kind of sweet in a way, and also quite badass, as if it's that easy to sanction and unsanction a hit against Ralph for him. Maybe he'd have taken having to kill 100 Ralphs, but he can't take that his relationship with his wife would reach a point where marital trust was broken. I mean, if you want to talk about why he called off the hit, you have to consider why he called it in the first place. He had been under the impression she was busting a gut to lose weight, fasting, watching what she ate. She used to be a hoofer, poor thing. She struggled with weight over years, working so hard but just couldn't seem to lose it. To think that someone is poking fun at her behind her large back after her effort, he's gotta go. But then he saw just how little effort she really put into losing weight, how she made him look like a fool, risking his life under false pretenses. It may have been that John even changed his own lifestyle to accommodate her, that he didn't bring home desserts, ice creams and pastries that he would have liked, in order that it wouldn't make life hard on Ginny and tempt her. When the two went out to eat, maybe they went to specific restaurants, maybe they called for a check before Artie came fumbling over with the dessert menu, only to find after all this, she had chocolate hidden in his home, putting on a front about all the effort she's making. It is a betrayal of trust, pure and simple, and John would have not felt as compelled to defend her honor and take out Ralph as strongly now. The desire would have dissipated, his anger now focused on her, not him. Ultimately, the scene ends on a positive note. It seems he accepts her, as he always really did, as beautiful. Her body was mad ripe, Rubenesque, and he wanted her to know that. She didn't need to feel insecure. Who cares what some Jersey farmers think? Fuck 'em. And in this moment, he was able to let it go, to not allow their beautiful relationship to be invaded and harmed by the comments of some degenerate who couldn't even go through a single relationship without having something stuck up his arse or an unorthodox use of a cheese grater. In fact, John may have felt a tang of hypocrisy from himself, in that it's true he never pressured her to lose weight and loved her for who she was, but he was giving in to that same societal pressure and culture she talked about, which was an excuse from Ginny, by the way, but that motivates her to lose weight in the first place, in that in his crusade against Ralph, his over-the-top reaction validates the idea that there's something wrong with her, that he sees something wrong with her. As he says to Carmine, the implication is that her ass is so big that she could have a mole that size removed from it. But why would he care if she had an ass so big that it has its own gravitational pull? He's not supposed to care about her weight, which she thinks is the case. So does he care about her weight? Has he proven her right? So he lets it go. If it truly doesn't matter to him, why should someone die over it? So there you have it. What are your thoughts on Ginny Sack cancelling the hit? Why do you think he did it? And do you think he should have gone ahead with the hit? Let me know in the comments below. And thanks for watching.